What's going on, everybody? This is Jeff with Living in Arizona, and today we are going to talk about buying a house in 2019 heading into 2020. So we'll just call it buying a house in 2020 in Arizona. In particular, Phoenix, Arizona. We're going to really dial this in. This video is going to have a lot of information that you're going to walk away from feeling a lot more clued in about the process, some tips and some pointers that are going to be useful for you. So be sure to stick around as long as you can into this video. If you enjoy videos like this, do smash up the likes and let's kick this thing off. So do subscribe to this channel, as you can see right here, Living in Arizona. And we did post in our group here, Facebook, Living in Arizona. We asked people, do they want to buy? Do they want to rent? What do they want to do? A lot of people, this is what they said. They said they first want to move to Arizona, rent for a little bit, and then figure out where they want to buy. That's the most common answer, but you can also join this group, link below in the comments. We also started a Twitter, which is a great place, like I said, to stay up to date with the weather and whatnot, and better graphics than Facebook, I would say. So follow us on Twitter. I'll put a link to that below also. So here's the thing that you're going to want to know about buying houses in Arizona. So how's the interest rates, right? So for example, I bought a house back in 2018, this house that I live in right now where I'm filming from. I had a 4.99 interest rate. If you were to look at how much I would pay over the span of 30 years, even though my house was originally, principal balance was $270 some thousand, after I pay for 30 years, it would go to say over $500,000 if I paid my payment every single month for the next 30 years. So you can see you almost pay double what you pay. You start questioning whether or not it's worth it. Well, let's talk about that because that's something to consider. So right now, I just recently refinanced my home loan from 4.99 down to 4.1. I save about $150 a month. I think that's pretty good. But look at this. My brother, who's a real estate agent, he's in our group, Matthew, you can connect with him. But he was telling me that he got an email this morning about the interest rates dipping below 4%. So I went on here to look, and sure enough, I find it on Wells Fargo, 30-year fixed interest rate, 3.87. Annual percentage rate, APR, 3.96. So now this is going to vary. Everyone's got a different credit score and everyone's got different circumstances, but they have been seeing homes closing in the 3% interest rates. So that's really important. So if you're looking to buy a home, that might be something to take into consideration, because when you could shave a whole percentage point off of the interest rates, that shows you something right there. I mean, that saved me an extra $150 a month, and also on the price of my total loan, long term. So that's a pro for buying a house right now. We're going to try to also point out some of the negatives. One of the negatives could be the actual housing market pricing. So we are entering into a level where the housing market is equivalent to 2008 prices. So we are entering high prices in homes. So where does that stack up next to the 2008 financial crisis? Well, obviously the economic policy writers and the monetization policy is different than it was in 2008, where they've cut back on predatory lending, and they've made some adjustments. So let's talk about that. Some things that you should know about that. It's called quantitative easing, and if you want to understand the economics behind that, you're going to look at QE. This is quantitative easing, and how that affects the economy. And you can see here Jerome Powell from the Federal Reserve talking about $1.2 trillion from the global financial system. And then you can even go on to this Forbes article where they talk about how much U.S. currency there is in circulation. Basically what QE is how much money is in total circulation. And since 2008, they've expanded the money supply, created more money. So one of the ways that they say to get out of debt is to print more money to get out of debt. So it's like, well, we have this amount of debt, so let's create the equal amount of currency or something similar to that to erode that debt and just make it go away, kind of thing. And that's basically inflation, right? So the housing market has inflated. So even if we are back to previous 2008 pricing, with inflation, now we would, we still Something to keep in mind when you're trying to compare 2008 to 2019 or 2020. So, two factors that we have in play right now. What are the interest rates? The number two thing is, what is the housing market at right now? Then it comes down to some of these other variables that are going to be equally as important because they're your quality of life, right? And so, if I was to tell you, based on the information that my brother provided me about buying homes in Arizona, we basically narrowed it down to three areas. And I'll give a fourth area just because we want to be kind of all over the map. This is assuming that you're a family and of four, okay? And or that, yeah, basically if you're a family. So if you're a single guy like me, this isn't going to be information that's necessarily going to be right up your alley. But let's go ahead and talk about this, assuming you're a family person like my brother is. Okay, so the areas that he recommended taking a look at, which is kind of contrary to where we've already looked, but that's going to be Northwest Peoria. So here's Sun City, here's Peoria. Take a look at this area right here called Vistancia. Write it down if you can't remember. So Northwest Peoria, he recommends taking a look at homes in that area for pricing and quality of life. Another area that has come up is going to be this area known as Norterra. So in this area, you're going to have the Sonoran Foothills, Fireside at Norterra, so mostly Norterra. And then north of here, you're going to have Sonoran Canyon and Desert Hills, Tramonto area. And then if you wanted to go all the way up into Anthem, so North Phoenix, right? We're going to say that we're probably priced out of Scottsdale, but Scottsdale is the best. But since we're assuming that everyone's, looking for a home below $500,000, that's the idea. If you got a budget over $500,000, go to Scottsdale. You don't even need to be in these other areas, so that's kind of obvious. But the other area is going to be this area of Phoenix, Southeast Phoenix in particular, Gilbert, and where we showed that video the other day of this area here that's so brand new of Eastmark. This area right here where they're building the tech corridor. This is, again, still, I would say this is probably where you want to be. Southeast Phoenix. But because so many of you guys are like, hey, do you show anything aside from Southeast Phoenix? So I don't want to be a broken record. But again, if this is your first time tuning in here, this area right here, Southeast Phoenix, this right here is the new tech corridor. Apple, Google, all them right next to Phoenix Gateway Airport. Okay, that's not Sky Harbor. Sky Harbor is over here. That's the big one. Sky Harbor International Airport right there in Central Phoenix. And if you need a fourth area and you're just absolutely in love with Southwest Phoenix, go out there towards Buckeye, okay? You've got a couple communities out here in Buckeye that are really worth taking a look at. Obviously, you have Verado, which is talked about quite a bit by some other YouTubers, so that's good that you can check into that. And some other things that you're going to want to know about buying homes that I found to be important, especially if you've got an elderly family member who's living with your family, you're going to look at these things called next generation homes, a home within a home. So basically it's where you have a home for your elderly family member while you and your family are outside of that. So you both get privacy. Elderly doesn't just have to isolate themselves to the room because they get a home inside of a home. That's called a next gen home. I think that's worth pointing out in this video. Lennar offers these homes, and you can see in various different areas where you will get that. Now, the other area that we're going to talk about is going to be the HOAs. So I spoke about HOAs previously. It's a love-hate relationship that I personally have with an HOA. In some cases, HOAs can be really amazing because they keep the community in order, and also that HOA allows you access to the community center. And if you have a community center that's worth a darn, then it can be really awesome. Anthem has a community center. That Eastmark community that I was talking about just in Southeast Phoenix where the tech corridor is, they have a community center. South of there is Cadence, another community, a smaller version of Eastmark, master plan community. So they have a nice community center over there. But HOAs, even if you don't have a community center with a community pool and basketball courts and all that, they still can serve a purpose because they're going to be street sweeping and upkeeping the community, making sure everything's unison and looking all clean and tidy. And, that $60 a month can be worth it because what happens if you let your next door neighbor grow weeds that end up becoming trees and the grass up to 5 feet tall in their front yard and never clean it. Well, at least you have an HOA to come in and say, hey, get in code, or we're gonna have to talk about that. And they pass out a fine, and then if they don't follow through with the fine, then so HOA can have its benefits. Other people who don't want to use HOAs, they would be better off living in places like New River, for example, where you actually get these houses that are new. This is actually Cave Creek. So right here, you take the little orange guy and you just go down here to this area of Cave Creek, just off of Dixoletta and let's say 56th Street maybe. Ah, look at that. Communities with acreage. No HOA needed. So that's in North Phoenix. Look at that. Acreage. No HOA. Do what you want. That's where I'm going next. After this cookie cutter stuff and these HOAs, I'm going to my own custom home. So this is in Cave Creek. See, I told you guys you're going to like this video because we're providing you with some really good information. And Cave Creek, that whole area right there, Dynamite, Dixoletta, Lone Mountain, all that is good stuff. The other area that I just mentioned that people keep talking about on this channel and in our group on Facebook, they're talking about, what's this? New River. So here's New River. Let's go take a look around some of these areas. I want to say Daisy Mountain, but let's go out here, show you guys New River. See custom homes right here. And they got enough desert to build more custom homes. And, right here, they got a nice view of a mountain. Let's see if we can go find Daisy Mountain on this. Go out here towards Daisy Mountain, which is going to be another area that you can check out. And actually, we'll go on New River Road, okay? But this is the area of Daisy Mountain right here. And so we take a little orange guy and I show you guys around New River Road. And like I said, I think you guys should contact my brother because being that we both grew up here and we know the area really good. You might get a travel agent who might be from out of state and you start talking about Daisy Mountain or New River and they might not have the proper information that you're going to need to get. So that's the benefit of working with my brother is he's got a lot of experience living in Arizona and he knows not just North Phoenix, but he lives in South Phoenix. So we grew up in North Phoenix, living in Southeast Phoenix. So you get this wide variety of insight that can be pretty valuable to getting you into the situation that you're looking for, assuming you know what you're looking for. But this is pretty nice. I mean, this mountain right here is called Elephant Butte. You can see Skull Mesa right over here. This is a very beautiful area to hike. I've hiked all the way up to Elephant Butte. That's a heck of a hike. You have to go back past Spur Cross. But if you just take a look here, right around here, you got washes, these flash floods, but you got acreage out here. Wildflowers and all that jazz. This must have been taken in probably around March, springtime. So I wanted to show you guys around this area and what you guys should keep in mind when you're moving here. And then if we just wanted to know how will the housing market handle in Phoenix, how will Arizona handle it? In 2008, Arizona did get hit pretty hard by that. But right now, what you have is so much demand. So many people are moving here and they're having to inflate the supply of homes. And so that is driving up prices a little bit. So buying some of these homes in suburbia are going to be some of the safer options than if you're buying homes in the city. You're going to be dealing with high demand, and then because there's high demand, what happens to the price? It goes up. So the benefit to being in the city, like in Gilbert or in Chandler or Tempe or Central Phoenix, you're right there in the middle of it all. But the payoff is, better be ready to pay. You're out in the suburbs, sure, you got to drive further to get there, but you're saving money on your homes and you're not stepping into something that could be highly inflated. Unless in the next 6 months the housing market goes upside down, then you're stuck way away from your work in a suburb. So there are some pros and there are some cons and some things to weigh, and it is a little bit of a dice roll, right? It's kind of like, but you're darned if you do and you're darned if you don't, right? So that's if you really want to buy, then you just need to find out where you want to live. But if you're on the fence about renting or buying, there you go. I would say one of the downsides to buying is if you like to travel a lot, you're anchored down to a home. Who's going to house it? Who's going to water your plants, watch your animals if you're really domesticated? But if you're a free bird and you own a house and you don't have too much maintenance going on in the back of your house, it's no problem. You're coming home to a nice home that you already own, and you're not paying rent into something that's just money down the drain every month to just a rental agency because it's something that you actually own. So it's a lot of thoughts that go into it. Thanks to everyone who watched, and subscribe to this channel and like the video, and we will see you next time.